Elsa? Here. Tom Weston will not be here. Karen Dahl? Here. Kevin Larson?
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Did anybody get a chance to look at the minutes? Anybody have any discussion about those or any corrections? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
We'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. All right. Audience to visitors, do we have anybody online or here? Other than our presenter. All right, we're moving right through this thing. Vouchers. What do we got here?
So the June invoices that we paid out, so I emailed this out to the committee, but the total is $18,280.71. The majority of that was community development grant reimbursements from the 2023 grant program to the village of Lafarge and the village of Queenstown. Everything you see on here was budgeted for this year.
All right, is that it? That's it. All right, regular business. Economic development partner presentations. So when we do these presentations, if we could try to keep it for 5 minutes. I know it could go over, but we'll try. So good, let's see. You sit up here.
Oh, okay, so please take one of these.
Oh, we printed them and put them in the packet. Yeah, we did.
Aren't you awesome? Thank you so much. Okay, no worries. Okay. But no pressure. Hello, Dr. Karen. I'm Therese Berkholz from the Driftless Wisconsin Board of Directors. I've been a part of it for about 7 years. My husband and I own Branches Winery in Westview. Larkin asked me to just do a really super fast overview for those of you who don't know our organization. I have maps to hand out also. We've been at this for quite a while. This is almost 16 years. It was formed as a great idea between the Vernon County Tourism Council, the terms where there was a Vernon County tourism area, a Crawford County tourism initiative, and at the time there was a Kickapoo Valley like business association. Yeah. These three entities came together and said, let's pool our resources, let's market the region. Mm-hmm. And we can do more marketing, and I will underscore this, to areas outside the region, bringing people in. Tourism, visitor spending. Okay. We have a volunteer board, one paid director. I know Stacy Rue presented to you in the last couple months. Unfortunately, she has resigned, so we're in transition to a new part-time person. Our goals are, there are many, and you all can read this. I don't want to read to you, but sustain and grow our efforts to drive and collaborate with joint marketing efforts between the two counties. So let's just say Vernon County, Crawford County, and serve as a regional resource for public relations, for digital media, for the maps, planning your itinerary, reasons to visit the Driftless area. We normally print 20 to 30,000 maps, and we have an online calendar. And some of the other marketing tools we can do when we can afford it. Okay. Of course, we want to do more. I just picked a few pieces of data for you from the last few years of grants that we've received from the Wisconsin Department of Tourism. Driftless Wisconsin has done an awesome job of getting these matching grants, like well over $50,000 in the last 5 years. But what it requires is we have to have that. If we want $30,000, we have to show that we've got $30,000 coming in. Okay, so the money from Vernon County has been a really important part of that. So you can see our efforts are successful. There's a lot more data, but oh my God, I mean, if you want me to send you lots of data, I'm happy to, but I just tried to pick some representative samples of growth. Okay. What I want to explain here So we've got a wonderful website. We have, when we can go outside of the market and get people to click on our website, we get a lot of clicks. We get a lot of people visiting a lot of pages. Now, keep in mind, Vernon County all the way down through Prairie du Chien. There's a lot of reasons to come here. This is what I think is so important, is what is our sustainability? And frankly, this is something the state looks at in giving us grants. They are less likely to do one-off, or, if your organization looks like it's going downhill, you're not going to get that money. You have to be a good, solid, viable concern. I will tell you right out, we have maxed out our eligibility for state grants for a few years because we went after joint effort marketing grants. Got it, $30,000, great. The next year we were eligible for a sales promotion grant, got it, great. Sadly, this year we were turned down for the second year of that. But what I say at every board meeting is that we have to manage the frosting of our sustainability, or the cake, and then the frosting. So the foundation is the cake, really, of our organization. And really simply, it is the funding from Vernon County and Crawford County. Vernon was only able to sponsor us at the $2,000 level for 2 years. Crawford County stayed at $5,000. Okay. The next level of the cake is money from towns, municipalities, all the little burgs that have, town council meetings saying, gee, we really need a better website. You hear this probably from all different places. Then they sit and say, but why? How are we going to drive anybody to it? And why are they going to come to Westby or Hillsborough or Stoddard or, on and on and on? And to which an agency will pop in and say, hey, for $15,000, do I have a package for you? And then the little town says, oh, shoot, right? So one of the functions that Driftless Wisconsin has and wants to expand is be an umbrella and host for far less than $15,000, maybe a couple $1,000s a year, host their website as under our umbrella. Okay, drive people to that. So that would be part of our sustainability. A major issue in that is getting the room tax implemented across the county. I understand the money has to go to individual organizations, which then can spend it on tourism marketing, but there's big gaps in Vernon County. I know Christina was working on it. I don't know the status of that. But people who are traveling are not shocked and appalled that there's a room tax. It's everywhere else in the state. It's Door County. It's part of your vacation money. And the number of Airbnbs and VRBOs here are exploding. Okay, so yes, those people are going to have to collect those dollars. But that is other people's money. Right? It's not coming out of your budget. It wouldn't come out of the town of Coons budget or Westby's budget. It would enable these I just keep saying municipalities to have a better presence. Okay. So we have, and then our executive director is responsible for selling advertising and sponsorships. So let's just round up all those. Our foundation, our cake, is about $50,000 a year, 45 to 50. Okay, if you pay an executive director, say $20,000, and you spend $13,000 to $15,000 printing a map, and your website is, if you're lucky, $500 a month just to maintain it, you can see there's not much left. We're very economical in that our executive or our director person can do our social media, can do our newsletters. So we would rather pay somebody in the $25 to $30 range to do this than agency rates at $200 an hour. So we're cheap. I mean, in a good way, So then that's the cake. And we desperately need your help with the cake. The frosting is the grants that we become eligible for. Of course, there's no guarantee we get them. And like I said, with Wisconsin, we're in a neutral zone for a few years because we did such a good job of getting everything we could. We can also look into other state, federal, corporate grants. We need a person to do that. My request is so here's like my totally big thing, besides that we really need money, is that I would like, well, I'm honest at least, right, John? Okay. And I would be so happy. I'll bring any numbers you want. I'll email you anything. The results of the grants that we get from the state, they are parsed down to, we got 1,400 more clicks on this page, and you kind of blur over, but I can show you what we're able to do. Here's my proposal. And I don't expect an answer today, but if you would think about it or talk about it, I'd like to have a tourism summit of a few hours, an afternoon, an evening, whatever, where we bring people involved in getting the message outside of the region together, okay? Whether it would be you all, it would be your counterparts in Prairie du Chien, it might be the state economic development people, it might be John. If we could organize the right people to be in the room, share who's doing what. I don't know how much money Viroqua with their room tax is able to spend on marketing Viroqua outside the area. I don't know that. That would be a good thing to know. If we could get these people together, the goal would be to do two things. One, further an understanding of the impact of visitor spending and the necessity for it. We don't get a lot of time to talk about the necessity for it, and push the arguments all the way to when these little towns dry up, it doesn't matter how many industrial parks we have, because nobody's going to want to live here. And we're not going to get employers, and the hospital goes away, and all these different things. So I think we need to spend a little time on the kind of the highest good, find out what everybody else is doing, see how we can pool our efforts, and how we can find additional funding sources like increased room tax. Now it's the high season for the businesses, mine included, but I would propose, and I know you are all drowning in meetings, but I think based on the pressure on the small businesses, the economy, the cost of things, inflation, the cost of the digital marketing going up. Digital marketing is a wild world here. There's a lot of people selling a lot of customers, products they don't understand and they might not need. So if we could have that meeting, I believe at the end of it, we would have some very specific things that we together could do. I said more than 5, I can't, sorry.
No, I was just thinking as we were speaking, the redundancy when we're doing, different advertisings and different hidden valleys and that and stuff. And I'm thinking that is my mind wandering. I've got a long day already. If it were consolidated some way, like you said, calling everybody together, and would you have more bang for the bucks from this orb of influence, I guess? Yeah, I was just wondering about that. And then instead of having, 16 different things, when I go to the Google and look up stuff, I hate it when I get 16 things and none of them are really what I'm looking for. But if there was, like I said, one central clearinghouse, maybe that's it. And
so you want to take all these different advertising branches, put them.
Yeah, I mean,
like
which should they be?
valleys.
It's that
Well, and I'm not staging like a coup. I'm not trying to.
No.
I'm not either, but I'm thinking.
But everybody should know where each other's.
And maybe we agree that this group does this really well.
Right, sit in different groups and where you go, but to know where they're at is probably the big question.
And I think you get more bangs for the buck when you're united in doing something.
That's what formed Driftless Wisconsin 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's marketing within the region to get people to move around. I mean, if somebody wants to come from Prairie du Chien to buy a case, I'm happy. I'm a little happier if they come from Milwaukee or Madison because they're going to stay a couple nights. And now a lot of business, they spend more money, and we all boats rise with the tide. So there's some niches, maybe we have a niche, somebody else has a niche, that's good. But I don't know that in recent years, anybody has figured out the whole pie.
Mm-hmm. I tried.
During my tenure, I should say. No insult. No.
I know.
It's been a while since we've done that. Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'll hand out maps. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Teresa.
All right. Vernon County Ag Society, fair stuff. That's you, Kevin, right?
I'll just give a quick overview of what, fair. Florida County Fair is in its 167th year, I believe, of having a fair, been a long-standing history. The big thing we try to do is make it fair friendly for local individuals, people out of the area, as far as being, more focused on kids and youth groups like 4-H, FFA, youth initiatives, things of that nature, making it educational. Also, on the flip side of it, we have open class and, for senior citizens on down. So most of the money that, like the economic development would be used for are different things like premiums and things of that nature. And, maintenance, maintenance is in our budget, but mostly premiums and things of that nature. We also do free stage entertainment, which to us is not free, but we figure it's a nice add-on to the events. Then we sponsor different things like a collegiate judging contest is on Sunday, where that'll bring in 18 to 20 teams of 5 or 6 students, universities. And we've had them as far away as Cal Poly, Oregon, Kansas State always comes, and in the Midwestern, UW schools, Minnesota, Michigan.
Animal science.
Yeah. Penn State, all them. So economic development or economic impact of stuff like that is huge. I know the UW Madison group, they rent the upstairs of the Logan Mill every year, or used to. UW River Falls, they used to stay in Reedstown. Now they got to move somewhere else. But so economic development from that standpoint of them coming in is a huge deal. Our vendors tend to stay. We reserve, I don't remember, 30 rooms up at American or Hickory Hills for vendors to stay in. And they are here usually. A lot of the vendors come on Sunday, Monday, because they're in a circuit from fairs. So a lot of them come from Richland Center to here, then usually to Oktoberfest, their last stop. So we're on the trail. So you usually have people staying here for about a week, a lot of them, within the Vernon County area. I know our guy that actually comes up from Florida, Nick, he comes in on Monday. He stays up at American, and then he'll travel. He goes a different direction every day. He takes off and goes to DeSoto, Genoa, Hillsboro, and then Wednesday he goes to schools with some of our fair attendants, and then he does his events at the fair on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So people like him coming in, him and the guy that does Tada Tractors, they do that. He does that also, where they come in early and go hit the sightsees around areas. So I know they've been your vineyards, both of them, and things of that nature. So other than that, we try and keep, we're trying to keep it as a family friendly fair. So, and like I said, the focus is on number one, kids and education opportunities within that. And then also to make it a fair for all ages. So any questions? I mean, maintenance is always a big thing as far as upkeep. We are building a new office now. It's half done probably. Hopefully we complete it by the fair.
That's that
Heated.
building right on the main road.
Yeah,
there.
it's just being built. Yeah. So
You were doing some up. Go ahead.
that's
Well, Just what's gonna happen to the old office?
that will probably be taken down. Roof is bad, starting to leak. It's the old milk house originally from the 1910, 1920. It's about the 4th oldest building on Fairhouse. So the Rogers Building, Crops and Education are the 3 main hub buildings. And then you go to the horse barn by the road and the milk house. Those are the main older buildings, which maintenance is extreme. So we're trying to update to keep ahead of those. But right now we're in a good situation with the office. Replace that next year on the dockets to do our bathroom expansion, get that done. And that will cater to, that's geared to run with our campground there. We have hookups for right, 2025 campers, and we upgraded to 50 amp plugins for the big campers with air conditioning and stuff. So that's what our main thrust is, with a new office / bathroom. And then all throughout the year, it is used, by the general public. So National Night Out, that balloon rally just a couple weeks ago. So we open that up to in any youth event that wants to use the facilities. We don't charge for them. So.
That was my question about, how's that going as far as upgrading the bathrooms and access to those?
Well, the bathrooms will be built next year.
Okay.
They were going to be built first, but then we had to make a little quick change to go to the rest or the office, because bathrooms, number one, to get state approved plans and things of that nature, and to meet some deadlines, we put the office up this year, and then with the understanding we're going to start the bathrooms next year. And they're actually bathrooms are getting engineered right now. So if it's a nice fall, we might do some groundwork for them yet this fall.
And the campers have access to those too, don't they?
Yes. Currently, the campers, the way, if you've been to VMH building, the way that's set up is the front part of it's the restrooms on both the sides, but then there's doors to get back into the main arena. So we open the front doors just for the restrooms and then keep the other main building locked, or if there's something else going on in there.
Is there gonna be a shower in there or not?
Yeah, shower in each bath, 2 showers in each side. So, and it'll be the new bathrooms location. In theory, will be where the old ones were, kind of kitty corner, more towards the highway, just from a standpoint of funding. Ideally, they should go down by the grandstand or the food stands, but to get the sewer and water and everything, you have to put lift stations in and everything. Whereas where the old bathrooms are, it's right on all the lines, so it's not a huge expense. Otherwise, we'd probably have 50 to 75,000 more just to get hooked up to the different locations.
Kevin, what's your ask?
Well, we always get $600. We'll take 2,000-3,000 because this year we're going to be financially strapped trying to do these two buildings, and we always get surprises. We talked about the website. We pushed websites. We hired a new group, I think, out of Winona. So we're pushing more website locations. Locally, of course, lacrosse is a big push, but also now we're pushing into the Twin Cities and Madison, Milwaukee area. So that would be our new, and then we redeveloped our website through that company too. So
we talked about the water and sewer, like over towards the grandstand where those vendors are there. Is that still all the original old stuff in there? Or has that ever been updated?
as far as in food stands,
Like the Lion Burgers and where they have all that stuff in there.
they have to maintain it themselves now. We get the water and electricity to them, which has been updated sometimes. And, like the Lions, they did exclusive renovation on their stand probably 3-4 years ago. 4-H, of course, built a new food stand. Well, I suppose that's already 10 years ago. So, but they own the building. We own the land underneath them. So, and it's, all nonprofit that can come in there and have a food stand. So they can sell their food stands to other nonprofits with our okay.
We did that. It's a lot of work.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's a big commitment. Yeah, a big commitment.
What's the rent? On
Rent?
the food stands? You own
It's so much, we own a land and then we pay the utility stuff, but it's so much per seating spot. Like, I think the regular size food stands are $600-800 a year. And like the 4-H is basically 2 food stands, so a little more. But it's about $10 per student per year. So like the Lions utilize theirs very well because they have things open 3 times a year. And, so they can utilize it more. 4-H food stand, they're open a couple times throughout the year. So, and then all those profits go directly back to them.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you. All right, Ridges and Rivers Book Fest.
Punch, yeah.
There's two.
Hi, everyone. I know many of you at the table. I'm Trina Erickson, the director of the McIntosh Memorial Library here in Viroqua, and I also serve as the president of Ridges and Rivers Incorporated. We're the nonprofit organization that for the last 2 years has brought the Ridges and Rivers Book Festival to the city of Viroqua and beyond. So with me is
Lisa Henner. I'm co-founded the event with Trina. I'm on the board of directors of Bridges and Rivers Incorporated, and I am a super volunteer.
She is a super volunteer. So we are a board of 7. We have people that live in Viroqua, Lafarge, and Coon Valley on our board. So we've tried to really diversify this. Has anyone been to the Ridges and Rivers Book Festival? Yay!
Anybody?
Volunteer! Yay! Any memory, Karen, of your time at the book festival?
I just think that this is nuts. I love it. I mean, there is so much going on. Yes, which was the problem. You had to space about 5 minutes to run, from the commons to over here.
What did you love about it, Karen?
Well, I like seeing Marty Schreiber.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
he's always entertaining.
Absolutely.
So this was one of our biggest, heartfelt moments of the year.
Mhm.
Marty Schreiber was the Wisconsin governor back in the 1970s. And Marty wrote a book called My Two Elaines, which is about his wife's 18-year journey with Alzheimer's. And it was about how he, as a man, dealt with basically losing his wife gradually. And we invited Marty to come to the book festival where he spoke. But that wasn't the highlight. What happened afterwards was so special because Marty called me after the book festival to say, Trina, I have been all over the state as a politician and as the governor, but I have never been treated the way I was in Viroqua. The heartfeltness, the kindness, how special this area is. He said it was absolutely unbelievable. And so to me, that, I don't know, it just got my heart. He also sent a letter to Viroqua Mayor Justin Running saying the exact same thing, that he has been all over the place as a Democratic governor and politician, but this was the place where his heart literally melted. And I think that's a special story that comes out of the book festival, is just these connections we've made. I just have some notes. We had over 30 zip codes represented at the book festival this year, predominantly tri-state area, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, but also North Carolina, Arizona, and beyond. Last year we had international. We had someone from Norway with us. Just like others have heard, we have been extremely successful with grants. We've secured 2 times now the GEM grant, Joint Effort Marketing Grant from the state. We're up for, I think, 1 more that we're eligible for. And that is all money we invest right back into this community, into our local media buys, radio, television, newspaper, and so forth. And so that is really, really impactful. The other thing that we hear is how many people come to the book festival, but then choose to come back because they came here for that event, but didn't get time to head over to the Kickapoo Valley Reserve or to the river or to explore the beauty of this area. And that's something that Lisa and I hear constantly, is about the returns and how our businesses are impacted by people saying, I'm not going to buy a new bike this weekend at Blue Dog Cycle because that's too much of a purchase, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to see what this is all about.
So for those of you who haven't been to the book festival, the mission of the Ridges and Rivers Book Festival is to support reading, writing, creativity, and community. And we like to say with the emphasis on the community, because it's more than a book festival. It's a community event. It's a couple of days, the last weekend in April, which kicks off the tourism season for us in Viroqua. It's before the farmers market has started. And we have presentations for folks of all interests and all ages. So there are special things for youth. Marty Schreiber presentation that they were talking about in partnership with the Bethel Home. We had another program there as well, as a way to appeal to those of us who are maybe a little bit older or working in that sandwich generation, those of us who are caring for kids and for our parents. So we look at it as a way to broaden the conversation that we're having in our community about whatever that means, whether it is Kathy Kuderer talking about the Amish or Quan Berry from Madison talking about her novels, or Sue Berg, one of our local writers who talks about writing mysteries, right? We have events for kids. We had a huge partnership with our business community. Thanks a lot to the Viroqua Chamber for 2 years running now, along with innkeepers and lodging areas throughout the county. So, for example, we had a guy who wrote a book about hiking and biking. He particularly asked to be housed somewhere out on the land, right? And we were able to do that with Trillium Guest House, right? Because we have those resources in Vernon County and we want people to know about them. So what else do we want to talk about?
Well, I was just gonna say the mission of the book festival is more than the literacy end of it. It's about community. We know Wisconsin winters are hard. We know small businesses struggle during those winter months when tourism is down. And so that's why we selected April to do this before the tourism season kicks in, to give those businesses a little extra boost in revenue by all these additional people coming into the community. And we've been very successful with that. Well, Lisa's passing out. I have to shout out to Larkin, who helped us with her role in the chamber to do these, what are called fencing reports. Is it geofencing? Reports from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. This shows how many visitors came to this region during the book festival in 2023 and 2024. And it also shows what happened in this region before the book festival happened. Economic impact of people coming to this area and spending money has surpassed, for 2024, over $240,000 for an event that was 2 days. And to me, that is so significant. And that is the mission of this event, is to bring commerce to this area. I truly believe we are a catalyst for economic development in what we do.
So what do we want from you? First of all, I love the idea of talking about tourism, like getting everybody together. Why is this important? What is the impact it's having? Why would somebody like me, right, leave my home to volunteer over 1,000 hours to bring a book festival to Viroqua? Besides getting to hang out with people like Trina and Karen and Larkin. So what we want to do, and Karen mentioned it, this was a packed program. It was a packed weekend.
With over 50 authors in town.
And one of the reasons that we did it with a bang again a second time was we had a joint effort marketing grant, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't leaving money on the table. So we did it the first year, and then we did it the second year. And now we're stepping back. We're looking at our resources, both financial and human, to see what happens to make it. We don't want to take a year off. We sort of have thought never, right? Because we lose our momentum. But this year, potentially, we might do something a little bit smaller, or we might have a single event just to keep our names out there, a bigger name potentially at the Temple Theater. We were able to get the Temple Theater 3/4 full for our Friday night program this year. So we know that there are several hundred people who want to come and want to be part of the book festival just for a single event. What we need from you is a couple of things. For our marketing and tourism, we have web design. Everybody keeps talking about that, right? We've got web development that we need. We've got printing. We've got advertising. We have a bigger match with the state now. Every year we take the GEM grant. Their funding goes down and the match goes up. We've been really successful with grants, with individual donors, with a huge support from the business community in Viroqua and beyond, along with our partnerships with you all and with municipalities. We would like $3,000. We want to put about $700 of that into our marketing components, our website and such. We need to be able to act to book the Temple Theater like yesterday, right? In order to do that, we would like some early money to guarantee that we have the money to pay for the Temple Theater, which is about $1,300. Again, if we charge for tickets, that brings money in and that helps offset it. And so we're looking to use that money twice, if I have to say so myself. And then about $1,000 so that if we go out and book a contract, right, within the next month or two before we've been able to start our fundraising cycle, we have to ensure we have to put a deposit down. Right, so we're asking Vernon County because of the calendar to help us with guaranteeing some money right up front, right early, so we can say, yes, we've got that support. Also, the name means a lot, right? If we go out to people and say, county jumped on board right away this year, it's really helpful for us.
It helps us leverage when we go to other organizations to say where the county's committed. And it does say a lot. It means a lot. I would invite you to visit our website. It's noted on all of our programs, and you can see the pictures from this year's event. And yeah, that was the program that we distributed. We printed 1,000 of them. We don't have many left, and it just highlights all the things that we did. I'm proud to say that I'd say 90% of our work is all done by volunteers. We have 2 very part-time staff that we pay to help manage our website because we're not web experts, and to help with creative design with marketing and creating programs. And they're very seasonal, just when we need them.
Yep, just, yes.
So for 2025, you're looking at how days, 1 day?
That's what we're thinking about right now. Yeah, that we want to keep the name out there. We want to keep folks coming. We sort of would like to get the idea out that the last weekend in April is the beginning of the season in Vernon County. So folks will keep it on their calendars. And we've had a lot of people from last year came back this year to the book festival. So we want to keep that momentum going.
Saturday event?
It'll probably be a Saturday event.
We talked about lodging, Kevin. We had, I think the Hotel Fortney was full. We did American Inn. That I think we sold almost all those rooms out.
Yeah, Hickory Hill,
Hickory Hill, yeah.
the Nancy Rhodes's places were
Yeah.
completely full.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of the Airbnbs out. We had people calling and saying, I want to come, but I can't find a place to stay.
Yeah.
And that was our big, right? The heads and beds, right? Those overnight visitors are the biggest spenders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the people who have the money, who want to travel. They want to travel within the area, and they're the most likely to come back.
And if you want to talk about food real quick, we have been so blessed to have, you talked about the Lions, the Lion Burgers, now they're doing Lion Burgers a little bit more than just at the fair, but that was kind of the big thing year 1 of the book festival was we had Lion Burgers. They did them this year as well. But this year Dave's Pizza stepped up and they fed 80 kids pizza for free on Saturday. The Woolly Bear Tap House had a food truck there. They gave part of their proceeds on Friday and Saturday back to the book festival. Mm-hmm. So it's just really cool how these businesses have stepped up to it, just their way being able to help us. And then we can promote them. Go to Dave's, go to the Woolly Bear, buy a Lion Burger.
And we had somebody say, I want to go to a brewery. We're like, we know that. We know you do. And we know where to send you.
Yeah. So it's really been a community event. And I think Lisa and I we just met yesterday and we're like, I can't believe we've done this. It was a pipe dream over lunch one day, and this is what's happened. So it's really proud.
The thing is, with all of the events that we're going, it was exhausting.
I know.
mean, not only for you to be planning it, but to be an attendee, right, for a volunteer.
Right,
It
sure.
was a long time.
Because we want to bring as
All
many
over
people
town.
as we can. And the partnerships that we have are really valuable with VMH, with the City of Viroqua, with the Historical Society, with the Eagles Club, with City Hall. We're spread out in that location, and it drives a lot of foot traffic. And yeah, I know it's good to want to do more instead of having folks show up and then leave. So we do the best we can to keep everybody, and then they want to stay overnight too because they're having such a good time.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you being such an
Any other
attentive
questions?
audience.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, Seven Rivers Alliance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Hardy, CEO of Seven Rivers Alliance. Glad to be with you here today. It's really exciting to follow these great other presentations because tourism is economic development. It's an important part of economic development and often overlooked by traditional economic development people because they fail to realize the significance of bringing people to town, and they spend money and then they leave and you don't have to invest in expensive infrastructure to make that happen. So tourism is an important part. those of you who know me, I spent 30+ years in the newspaper business. So one of the tenets of journalism is you never make assumptions. So a little bit of background on what Seven Rivers Alliance is about. Seven Rivers Alliance is one of 9 regional economic development organizations in Wisconsin. The state is divided into 9 regions. So Seven Rivers Alliance, I have Pepin, Buffalo, Jackson, Trempealeau, La Crosse, Vernon, Juneau, and then I share Crawford with my counterpart. And the purpose of regional economic development groups is that we work with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to kind of be local representatives of some of the state initiatives that the state works on. So we get funding from the state of Wisconsin to help support our organization. I have one part-time UWL student that helps with marketing and events. Otherwise, you're looking at the entire staff of the Seven Rivers Alliance. I provided with you today a copy of our strategic plan, and when I was looking at it this morning, I said, "Oh crap! I sent them the one with the markups on it," and actually that's perfect because what that shows you is the development. We review this plan every year. And because it's important for us to make sure that we're representing the challenges, the opportunities that are in the Seven Rivers region. And so what you see there are some of the final tweaks that we made to the plan. And even though it says through 2026, we do review this every year because we want to make sure, and I want my board to review that my efforts are being spent on initiatives that are important for our region. So our main, what do? We work with regional economic development groups to help with some of that collaboration that was being discussed a little earlier about the tourism. We don't focus on tourism, but more so tourism is part of what we do, but what we focus on are some of the challenges that we have in our region and opportunities. How can we work together to help things like childcare, housing, and transportation? I've spent a significant amount of time in childcare over the past 5 years because we know that the childcare shortage that we have in our region leads to the worker shortage that we have. And the number one challenge we have in terms of economic development is how do we find the workforce to sustain both our existing businesses who want to expand, and how do we bring in new businesses? Economic development in the old days used to be about chasing smokestacks. It used to be about building business parks, and you hope to lure companies in, and they pay a good wage, and you fill up the business parks, and you expand your economy. The challenge now is for the worker, and how do we chase the worker? It's still important to have economic development land, and so last year we helped the city of Westby get a web presence up and running because they didn't really have a good web presence for their business park. I get requests from the state when a company is looking for land. They have certain requirements, and so the state then sends it out to partners like Seven Rivers Alliance and says, "Hey, here's a company X, and they're looking for X amount of land. This is the area that they want to work in." And then I go to our partner communities and see if there's appropriate site in our region, and then I submit that plan on behalf of our regional partners to see if those proposals go to the next step. Economic development like that is definitely like fishing in the big ocean because it's very difficult at times to land that fish. But if your pole isn't in the water, you're not going to catch it. And so we learn a little bit every time we do those plans. Our goal is to make them more and more competitive so that when we do have companies that are interested in coming to our region, we give them a good reason to take a second look rather than simply pass it on to the next one. And there's a lot of factors that relate to that. Our big initiative that is changing this year, or in something new for us, and it's reflected in this plan, is we're doing a couple of pilot strategic planning projects. One of the things that I've noticed over the past few years across our region is the communities or organizations that don't have a good plan in place are the ones that are being left behind. I will give you credit as Vernon County for having somebody like Larkin and having this committee, because you understand the importance of economic development and why you need to have it. There are counties and communities that don't have economic development staff, and they don't even have a plan. So it's very difficult how do you recruit people to want to come and live into your community if your community doesn't have a plan about how you want to get to where you want to be? So this year we're trying 2 pilot projects, and then we're going to evaluate how those work and to see if it's something that we as an entity would want to continue to do down the road. And that would perhaps look at changing the way we staff. The purpose of that is that the health of any of our counties or communities in our region is good for our entire region. All the things that we're talking about today bring people to our region, and we know that although you're focused on Vernon County, as you should be, that when people come to our region, they don't know geopolitical boundaries, and they come here to spend time. And the more that we can do that and work on our challenges together, we know that that's for the betterment of our region. And so my ask here today, Vernon County has been a longtime supporter, is to continue to be a premier member at a $325 level. That's what you have been, and that helps to support the Seven Rivers Alliance mission. And I would be happy to entertain any questions if you have questions about the strategic plan, but I know you have other folks that need to speak today. So
I got one question, just specifically about childcare.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with that issue, and it's a big deal today, you see, are we making any gains as far as people that want to get into that business with the challenges of codes and getting people to work there? And
it's an excellent question, because regulation is a huge part of childcare, and for good reason. Good quality childcare needs regulations if we want to make sure that we want to have quality. But we also want to make sure that they're not burdensome to the point that it's keeping people out. One of the biggest challenges is sometimes if somebody wants to start family care, is they have to have a fenced-in yard. And sometimes a fence can run $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and that's enough. Even though they're all completely set up for childcare, they can't do it. So that is an issue. We are making progress, and I think we're making progress because communities are tackling this as a community issue. While there are challenges about childcare that are across the board, the solutions have to be driven by the community. And Vernon County was early in this process with some of the shared service projects that were started here that have taken off across the state. And basically that's recognizing that there are some things like bookkeeping and joint purchasing that are universal to any childcare business, that if you can pay somebody to handle those services for you, it frees up time for that childcare provider to do more with childcare. Like any other business, you don't get into childcare because you love filling out state forms, but you find somebody who can help streamline that process. And I think there's been more acknowledgement now from the business end that they need to have a seat at the table, that they recognize that it is a barrier to the workforce. We've done multiple surveys in a lot of communities across our region, and the results are pretty much the same. The percentages vary a little bit, but as usually it comes around to be a third of people who respond to these surveys say they are either out of the workforce or they're working part-time because they can't find adequate childcare. We could find a lot of employees to fill these jobs if we can help solve the childcare dilemma. And that helps. But I think that the local conversations are the ones that are most productive, because then you bring your local providers to the table and find out what their challenges are. The answer to childcare isn't, gee, we need to open up a big 100 childcare facility and bring them into our community, when that may or may not even work because it may hurt your existing providers, and then your net gain is not what you want it to be. So the progress we're seeing is when we get businesses, when we get government, when we get childcare providers, all sitting at the same table and talking about what can we do for our community.
I think there's one little thought though, is if you don't have housing stock, you can't house these workers who can't come to work because they're kids.
Yeah.
So there's a real dilemma there.
Yeah, they're all, I mentioned housing, childcare, and transportation.
Yeah.
Those are the big three challenges, and they're all interlinked because you can't separate one from the
Yeah.
other because they all have a bearing.
We've been in this, some of us, a long time. And it just seems like it's, we hear childcare studies again and again, and I'm thinking there has to be some creative solution. I don't know what it is. I'm out there wondering. And one of the things, didn't Organic Valley start a creche for a while? Where they could bring kids in. And I'm thinking,
Childcare.
yeah, they did that for a while. And when we did a child care study, how bad, there was another group out of Madison that was going to be the central place that they could do the fit, just about everything. And that, I don't know what happened to that group, but it just seems like it's always on everybody's mind in economic development. There's no solution.
Yeah. And ultimately, it all comes down to if we can't find a better way to pay our childcare providers, that if we can't find the workforce, it's hard to expand childcare.
That's right.
And that ends up being they struggle for workforce like every other business. And if they can't find it, they can't expand. And in many cases, we have a lot of underutilized slots where providers are already licensed for, but because they can't find enough staff, they can't even bring in enough kids for what they're licensed for because they don't have enough staff to watch them.
And it seems like children and the elderly, you're not having enough home health care people. It's the same with childcare. There has to be somebody has to have a solution.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate your time. You bet.
All right. Vita's up next.
Beat us.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. My name is Chuck Peterson. I'm the board member for Vernon Economic Development Association. Sent the PowerPoint earlier. Thanks for being patient with my second edition. I sent first had a couple edits in it. Been on the board for Vita since like 2012, so I'm really quite familiar with the group. And first off, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to come to the committee here. And also thank everybody that did the tour. I think after your last meeting, the thing that was, I hope it was insightful for you. I think a lot of folks, knew had been in there in some way, shape, or form over the years. And actually, Bruce, your insight from being an employee at NCR, that wasn't expected. So that was actually, I gained, a lot of insight from that, and, just the whole history and the detail that you provided. I've always heard different things. Of course, growing up in Broco, I knew they did a lot of different printing, but I appreciate that extra detail you added. So pretty straightforward today. I sent out just a 5-page PowerPoint. Just wanted to, kind of cover the key things on there. Just the economic impact of the Food Enterprise Center is listed in the $2 amounts from 22 and 23. And the jobs that they create and the number that are on site from both those last 2 years. And then what I thought I'd add is this is just something that I get a lot of questions about is, the groups that are in there and when did they start? So I did a little research and, got their starting year in the facility listed on that PowerPoint as well. The thing that it doesn't show is, when they started as a group, as a business. Some of them may have started in their kitchen. I think a lot of people might be familiar with Go Macro's story. They actually kind of cleaned out one end of a barn, I believe, and got started making some product. Everybody had a unique story, and I did start digging through the different businesses to find. I thought, well, that's going to be more than 5 minutes, so I better just keep it at just the year they got in there, and then to be, knowing that each one of them is unique. And where they came from, one that's always, again, people are familiar with is of course, Wonder State Coffee. They had the railroad car out on Railroad Avenue on the east side of Roqua. And, the thing, when they came in 2013, they had 12 employees. And now they have 32 people on site. They have 88 employees total. They have cafes in 3 different cities now. And so it's just been, their impact is, gotten locally, but then also it's reached into other parts of the state, Milwaukee and up in Bayfield. The other thing I just thought I'd want to just, get in front of the group. I know there's some new board members to the county board itself and to this committee. So I just did a background. I don't know if anybody has any real specific questions about the background sheet or slide, but just wanted to show the longevity of VITA. It got started, in its 18th year. A group of like-minded folks from throughout the county, started the group. In particular, I worked at Organic Valley, recently retired at the end of 23. But my director in my early days, was one of the original charter members of Vernon Economic Development. So, as we grew together as employees and worked at the co-op, we also, got involved with working with VITA as well. For the most part, I think the key things to me, is kind of that we want to make sure I got the mission statement in there. Because I think everybody here, coming to this meeting, I've been at these meetings a couple times now. Seeing that and that energy and that collaboration goal that everybody has. It just started right at the first presenter. It was like, we should have a summit and we should talk tourism. It's like, yeah, how do you get a collective mindset as close as you can on any given topic? Tourism, economic development, of course, the childcare and the housing, that's like at every forefront of any given meeting. But really what comes down to is you have like-minded people trying to figure out what's this county going to look like, what's this region going to look like. We've been shaping it and evolving over the last number of years since things evolve, things change. And it's great to see that energy out there across all the folks that are here, both on the board and then all the different presenters. So the other thing I did want to kind of put up point there was the community hunger solutions on the next slide. With that group, that does hit close to me. At my role at Organic Valley, I was in cash and distribution center. I worked directly to try and find ways to use the slightly compromised product. And a lot of people, that was simple enough, but really what it really goes back to is some of our earlier staff and some of the groups in Roqua, like Valley Stewardship Network. They were one of the early groups to work on gleaning from off of all the different producers, CSAs, the larger folks like Harmony Valley and, Driftless Organics. They started by gleaning produce, and then it just became, a program where, it serves so many food pantries, because the Roqua area, this region, Crawford, Vernon, parts of Richland, part of Monroe, they're kind of between the main hubs of the Hunger Task Force, La Crosse. They do a lot of synergy with that, and Wafer, and then Hunger Task Force. They all collectively kind of overlap, but just to serve it directly, that was one thing that the Community Hunger Solutions has really reached out and helped solve over the last several years. So that kind of hits close to home for me, because that was helpful working with the cooperative on making sure we did use some compromised product that really does obviously occur on a weekly basis, daily basis in a warehouse setting. So lastly, just want to put the board of directors out there so people see that they're kind of a diverse group. The thing that we ask, as a board and as a group, just the continued support of this committee, continued support from the county. Again, it's all about, that collective energy, as we move forward. I do want to offer anybody would still like to come out and take a tour. I think it was great that, you know, we were able to get some folks from the committee out there. Always willing to give a tour. I think my cell's on that last slide. You know, the thing is just finding that shared vision, right? I mean, at the end of the day is we just have a lot of people that want to keep working. I think the groups that are in the FEC is just a part of what, you know, what's been able to accomplish. Vita is noted for that facility. So that's why we lead and talk about it. But there's a lot of different things throughout the county that, you know, everybody's working on. There's just so many unique stories. And I think that really comes out from, again, the presenters earlier on just the uniqueness of the area. I thought that was a really good comment from the Rivers Ridge on the, you know, this, how they felt the former governor was treated when he was here. I mean, you get that comment a lot from people that come here. They just cannot feel that, you know, feel more welcome and feel more of this energy. So take a few questions, anything wondering about?
When is Sue going to retire?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I even asked that of her.
She's the
This
queen
being
of economic
recorded or?
development. Yeah.
No, the thing with Sue is like, I think people have been around her a long time. Obviously, she's been with us, you know, for many years. I think she's understand to know to have a plan, right? She's that type of person.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's anything imminent. She's a kind of energy person that just wants to go, but then I think everybody's got to have that realistic threshold of, you know, I better maybe take some time for myself here down the stretch. I mean, I personally did that. A lot of people thought I'd just be this energizer bunner, and I do a lot of things, but spending 30 years at Organic Valley seemed to be a nice number, round and all. So it was just time to try and get involved. But I think she's still got.
Because I just think that she's probably the economic engine of Vernon County of the century.
Well, I know she definitely appreciate that comment, but I do know she'd be the one first to say too that it's a collective energy across so many thresholds of people. You know, you can have you know, what level of leadership and all across a lot of different endeavors that have been established throughout the community and throughout the region. There's just so many people you can point to and say that person did this, you know, and created this business model. It could be any given, you know, example you can take. You know, go macro, SNS. I mean, you can just go through the county and just pick and choose how many groups have had these leadership, but that created the really unique idea.
And I think we have a terrific team now in Vernon County to work with too.
Yeah, that's really the part of the crux of the continued support, but then that collaboration and that interaction, you know, that's really what we also need to strive for. I know Larkin's been out quite familiar with the facility. It was kind of, I would say, probably one of the easiest tours I ever gave because one of the lead people from the group that's really spent a lot of time in the building with the Viennese trees. So it wasn't like she filled in a lot of gaps on some of the parts of the tour as well. But I'd be quite honest. I mean, there were some groups that have come into that building as groups and entities that, you know, it didn't work, right? And it didn't see the end of the light that we were after, but yet that resolution and resolve of the people involved, let's get another group in and make the best of a different situation, different physical structure that was put in. But there's just untold success stories of folks that have came there, you know, Whisk and Pop came in, created a great label, great product, and they were able to sell that to a large brewery in the Madison area. And it's like, well, that's a good thing. You know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, Go Macro has gotten such a volume going now where they're developing distribution at a higher level in 3 distinct parts of the country because they reached that point as a business that they need to expand to even another level of just working with immediate carriers and warehouse providers that they do in this area. So I mean, that's all good that they, you know, have that type of growth to just keep going. So
How much space do you have left there?
excuse me.
How much space do you have left for businesses?
Yeah,
You know, the thing with physical space, I think a lot of times the kitchen has a lot of opportunity and different, you know, scheduling. You know, and I did mention the Go Macro dynamic. They are physically going to be moving out from the location. So that's going to create large amount of physical space. We've already talked to several groups that we hope will find their way into the building. But yet to say a physical number, I mean, that would be where they physically have is close to almost a fifth of the building right now.
Mm.
They're gonna keep some components there, some level of there, but again, they needed to get into 3 locations throughout the country that do both logistics for the full pallet quantities, and then as importantly, the direct to consumer piece, because that's really everybody sees the day in and day out activities involving people want things right to their door. You know, that's just been a phenomenon of the last 10, 15 years that has really expanded. So
Chuck, any exciting prospects for tenants for 2025?
I don't say I know any specific names at this point, but we do feel that we know that with Go Macro departing, we do have to fill that space. We are working with some groups, but until it becomes, call it black and white, we're not really at liberty to go on to that topic. But we do feel, one thing we do feel good about is, I don't want to say that we won't have any difficulty filling that space, but this is a known entity. This is a known region for what we've been able to accomplish. And it's a credit to the folks in the county and in the region that, you know, like-minded folks are creating this food center, wellness based physical facility that's really served everybody well. So, but it'll be known when the time comes. And we really do want to get that space taken up, because it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, no doubt, because the building itself had such an evolution from being empty and dormant to where it is today. We just want to keep that momentum going.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. And again, if you'd like a tour, you know, reach out, give me a call, give me a text. I'm definitely very flexible. I'm more of an early AM person, but that doesn't mean I have to do it in the morning. Again, thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you. All right, Hidden Valleys.
Hi there.
Hi. Well, a lot of you have seen me here before, but I'm Danica Whaling. I work very part-time with the Hidden Valleys group. So I need to get going to my room now. So I am very lucky. I have a guy that works with me on sales. Tyler Carl works with me, and he does a lot of the social media. And we pay him to do that because it's super important that we do. So just in the last year, we wrote down some stats of different things. But we've been doing this Hidden Valley Guide for 47 years. So we're on our 48th right now. And just in the last couple of years, I would say it's been our best. We got a new designer this last year. The board is kept up and ready to go every year, but this year is just crazy excited because we have such a good designer, and Tyler bringing in information from all these different counties. I represent Vernon County, but I used Christina a lot to proofread everything, and I'll be using Larkin to do that work too, unless you guys can find somebody that can come to our meetings. We meet once a month, usually in basketball, so it's not too far from me because I got chores in the morning. I gotta get there by 10:30. It's kind of hard sometimes, but so there we meet for about an hour and a half, and discuss what we need to do for changes, what our different areas need to promote. Of course, we always do a calendar, but it's not everybody is linked up with our emails and everything. So there's always that, like, oh, don't forget this person or that person. So we've been doing this for how many years? Do you think it would be all good and established? But every year we're like, what? How did we forget that? So that's why we need these people in each one of these counties to represent and being that person pulling the information in for us. So if we could have somebody from this group to do that for us, that'd be great, other than me. So you guys are pretty lucky that I'm in Vernon County. So you get me no matter what.
What's the area of the counties? How many counties?
There's 8 of us.
And
yeah,
all
so right on the front here.
Yeah.
Well, no, we went to Iowa County last week. And then yesterday we were back in Boscobel.
Yep.
We were gonna go to Mineral Point
Mhm.
for the meeting, but the designer couldn't make it. And one of our oldest members lives in Boscobel, so we try to keep it in Boscobel for his sake. Yep, so we do Crawford, Grant, Iowa, Juneau, Lafayette, Monroe, Richland, and Vernon is who we have on here. We've been talking about touching a little bit of LaCrosse County, Greene County. They have their own brochure, but there's so many right on the edge that don't get represented like they want to. So we might get some more. Greene County, Adams County is looking at either doing their, doing their own, they have their own brochure, but joining in with us too. Even if it's just a one-page ad, they're looking at that to try to promote their websites and things like that. So, and that's such a big thing is the websites. You know, we've struggled with ours just to try to get people to go to it. And of course, we have the brochure bringing people. We do 40,000 of these brochures, but it doesn't, if nobody's telling them it's out there, that's a problem. So we've been fortunate this year. We've had so many good advertisers that we had a little bit more money in the kitty. So $3,000 this year went to billboards in Milwaukee to try to promote that. And you can already see it with the stats that Tyler gave us on top, that it's already increasing. And we've had more, where was it here? Last year we had 433,000 people that went to our Facebook. We're already at over 500,000 just in this first year. So it's things like that. All these Facebook posts that get shared and the billboards, you know, it all kind of comes together, and we want to bring people to our website. So it goes to people's ads. It's going to bring them here. So to stay at that Airbnb or that hotel. You know. And just to touch on that lodging tax, I think it's a great idea. Yes. There's so many Airbnbs that can't afford an ad anywhere. All they rely on is that website they're paying. So that money, we can't, you know, make more brochures or, you know, go to these travel shows like we should, because we're not getting the support from those kind of businesses. So if we can get it from the people that are visiting, that, you know, that I think that's a win-win for all of us. And we have a lot of our advertisers that are not from Vernon County, of course. They're using that lodging tax dollars to pay for the ads in our brochure and probably other people's brochures. That's to try to promote and get more people here. So, and I can't afford to do grants because I can't do a 50-50 split on it. So I don't know where that money is going to come from. We can't charge any more than what we're already charging for ads. So it's got to come from somewhere if you guys want economic growth. You guys have any questions?
So the ask is the same as last year, then, right?
Yeah, it's 7 cents per head. So I say it by farmer talk per head. $2,149.98 is what we asked for next year. So that is, this isn't, I should change the dates because my accountant. So, but that's, you know, if you guys do have any more money, it will just go in the kitty and it will be through the billboards and more brochures and things like that. So it's, the more advertisers we get, the more brochures we get. There's really, we're just touching a little bit of what we need to do. We're not Wisconsin Dells. We don't have these big corporate businesses giving us any money. And if we really want to do an impact, we should be putting all these brochures and her brochures in the I-90s, all those rest stops.
We used to, matter of fact.
And we can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
I can,
State of Wisconsin, the highway.
yeah.
Cross, I think there was one at Prairie.
If you're not a member
Mhm.
of that group
Yeah.
that's putting them in there,
Mhm.
you can't.
If I may, just to throw out a number, we're in like 6 of those stops.
Mhm.
A company called Vector and Amp stocks those, charges us, I think it's $1,200 a year.
Mhm.
Just to take the brochures and put them in those 6 spots I think it's right around there. I might be off by like $100, but so,
And it would probably be more for a bigger one.
yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it
They
sounds
won't even give me a quote.
it sounds great to print things, but you have to pay to actually get them where you want them to go.
Yeah, and it's so important. How many people probably stop at one of those rest areas a day? I bet Wisconsin Dells, that brochure, that's the main area that people pick them up. Yeah, so we're missing out on that. We're missing out on putting billboards on the interstate to drive people here. There's so many things we could do and we can't. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm sitting. I'm like, well, I can't even be more than part-time. So if there's somebody that wants to come with me to my meetings, give their opinion on how we run our show, I would be more than willing to take somebody's email address and let them know when the meetings are. So, yeah. And then they can have their picture on page 7 of our brochure saying that you're a good citizen and you want to help us. So we try to touch on a little bit of the funness, not just ads, so we have arts in the drift list. We did supper clubs this time. Next time we might do more of like more, I don't want to say dive bars, but that kind of thing. We do egg tourism every year. The round barns, I try to keep that in there every year because that's so important for our community. Historical places and museums. And then we took out that middle map because, people are just using their phones anyways, and it costs us so much to put that Google middle spread in. So, yeah, and we charged $3,500 for that, but it probably cost us $10,000. So it really wasn't paying for it. So we put the smaller maps back in, and nobody has really complained yet. So, and then we try to get pictures from anybody that will give us pictures. So if anybody has any, we have to have them. And that's another thing. We could have even better pictures if we could afford to pay photographers for them. They don't just give them to me for free. So far, they've been okay with taking a lot of my pictures and using them. But, if we could buy a whole bunch from Jason Ray, our brochure would look better,
So I was thinking this is an improvement.
It is. I would say it is. But, if we have a different logo, things like that, it makes a big difference. And I probably only have 20 cases left. That's it. And I'm hoarding them because we need them for the apple orchards. So we do need more money because we need more brochures out there, I think.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I have more brochures.
All right. Don, would you like to talk about the economic development loan program?
Yes, I would. And on all of these I printed out, I did print out my
Oh, does anybody have the little? All right. Now, Tom was gonna apparently harass me about the people who aren't paying, but luckily he's not here. All I can tell you is, we have called them. We tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe with the holiday, they put it in the mail and it just didn't show up yet.
Mhm.
I will say that we have had some things literally postmarked that we got 3.5 weeks later, so it happens. But we are on top of it. The other thing that Sarah's been really embroiled in is you guys are being audited, and she's helping a lot. And I know she and Karen have been doing most of it, but I told her she better bring Amy into the picture on a couple things. Because there was little loans that you guys kept that we did not then work, that I think they had some questions on. But I think they've gotten everything tied out, and I believe it's in good shape. You heard any more on that, Amy?
No, not quite yet.
Okay.
But I'm just waiting on a spreadsheet from her. I haven't seen that one yet, but she'll get it.
So we're working on it. Just to roll through the numbers quickly, your beginning balance is $395,626.60. And then remember, our $5 is our little membership for the Alta Federal Credit Union. And when you see this 10-cent interest, just so you're aware, we're not paranoid, but very careful. So instead of having access to the big account, we have all the loans that pay automatically come into that savings account. But as soon as we see it's in, we move it over to the big account. So if it's in there a day or two, that's where that little bit of stuff comes.
Yeah, somebody got in a lot of trouble from that.
You got in trouble for that?
Yeah, well, it was a banker and some other place, but we're holding it over the weekend and putting it, but I think he's putting his own account, so.
Well, that would be bad.
Yeah.
No, we 100% transparency here. But I just thought I'd head that one off in case someone asks, why is there 10 cents? So we try to flow that through as quick as we can. Again, hopefully, zip stops are not falling off the apple cart again, but because they had been paying really well. So let's hope we're back on track there. And then Borgans and Old Town, we've had communication with them as well, because their accountant needed the interest they paid last year. So Sarah had been in contact with them earlier in that month. So I was kind of surprised, but hopefully they'll come in. So that gives us, with the payments, a new balance of $399,688.58. And then, as you can see down below, where we are for our loans with the outstanding balances. I just had Sarah leave on. I know we were going to take off the loans paid off in 23, but with the new members and seeing I wasn't here last time, I just thought we'd leave it one more time. We'll take it off next time. And then, of course, the new loans in 23 as well. Hopefully you guys saw the invite, which I didn't bring over, but next Friday from 10 to 1, LAX is having kind of an open house, and you guys are all invited, being on the committee. So if you have an opportunity to make it over to that, I'm sure they'd appreciate it and love to meet you all. And thank you again for, participating with them in that.
It's food and drink. If you're serving it.
It looks like it was on the invite. To be honest, I'm at a meeting somewhere else, but I don't get to go. But I just want to make sure you guys were in the know on that. We hadn't had any interests so far in the loan. I know Larkin's been out talking to people because she has given me a heads up on a few. So as soon as they contact us, I'll keep you posted. And like some of these, not usually a lot of slam dunk. So usually there's some work kind of vetting out exactly what they're trying to do, what they can do.
Where are we at with Country Chicks?
I have not heard. Katie, any news on Country Chicks?
Yeah, they had to revise some estimates and some plans, so it's taking just a little bit longer, but that's still in the works.
Okay,
Did they get their appraisal handled?
No, because can't get the appraisal until the plans are finalized. So it'll be a little bit yet.
So as soon as we know more on country chicks, we will.
that's the only one we have outstanding right now, isn't it? Just
It
approved.
is the only one that's been approved. So
How about that, third position thing? How did that go?
he was really good.
Okay.
And he's also, I know you're gonna talk housing later, and he's actually been working with the city on that committee. So,
So he's all good.
he was fine. He was fine, but can't blame him for asking, so. But they understood your position on that. So that's all I have for the report. Nothing else really exciting. Any questions on anything?
How much paper do we have out there right now beyond 30 days?
Really, it's just these two, and technically they're not really over 30 days yet, because their payments were usually in the middle of the month. So really, they probably got another week. But some of these loans that were done previously, the clock as far as late doesn't kick in until 60. So, but we're, so hopefully I won't have to go make personal visits like we did to get that one kick-started again, but if we do, we do. But if anyone would like to come with me, I can. Well,
Okay. All right, thanks, John.
thank you.
Yep. All right. That was the reason we're flying now. All right. Department updates. What do you got for us, Amy?
Yeah, so, let's see, just some general updates specifically to, well, grants and community development. So many of you know or may not know that we have 4 grants I'm managing that are FEMA funded, where we're purchasing and then demolishing homes that have in the floodplain that were damaged in the 2018 flood. And so I am down to the last home to acquire a demo. We had an accepted offer to purchase this morning on this property in Lafarge. Now, this homeowner does have until we actually close to change her mind. It doesn't seem like she will. So that will be my final one. So I'm starting to close out, working with FEMA and the state to close out all of these grants that we're managing. And then that generator grant, I submitted 2 generator grants to replace generators at some of our county buildings that are beyond their lifespan. And then for 5 municipalities who were interested in purchasing a generator to maybe transition their town hall into emergency shelter, or for the Baroque Police Department. I submitted that application more than a year ago. The state keeps telling me that it's being reviewed by FEMA. But Molly at Van Orden's office offered to reach out to FEMA directly to get more of an update from us. So I'm just going to provide her with the exact grant information and so forth. So hopefully we can get some more answers in terms of how much longer we need to wait on that. But I'm hoping that'll go through. It sounds like the funds are there, but FEMA's just short-staffed, and their attention gets diverted when natural disasters are happening, like tornadoes and so forth throughout the U.S. The Land Conservation and Education Committee met today. So I'll be working with that department. They have been working with a company on a study to dredge Sidey Hollow and put a beach back in. So that is something I will be working on, a grant with, collaborating with that department on. And then someone mentioned room tax, so I just wanted to touch on that quickly. There are 3 municipalities in Vernon County, Baroque, Hillsborough, and Reedstown, who currently collect room tax and have their own tourism entity to kind of drive those dollars through, which is a requirement. Christina was working with the Coon Valley Business Association to establish Soul of the Driftless, which is a nonprofit tourism entity that they were hoping then to motivate all the other municipalities to implement that room tax ordinance to funnel those dollars through this Soul of the Driftless entity. I know 2 municipalities had passed that ordinance since 23. It sounds like conversations has stalled. And so I have kind of went through all the email or Christina's former emails, found the conversations and who was involved in those discussions, and reinvigorating those conversations. So I'm trying to set a meeting with that group to figure out where everything left off and what support they need to continue to move forward. So I will keep updating on that. That's my general updates.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, Larkin, what do you got for us?
Oh, not,
Oh,
oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still on
Okay.
the agenda,
You're still
but
on
it's
there?
just my general.
That's
Sorry.
good. Sorry.
So the 2023 Community Development Grant, we have some unused grant funds. Some projects are closing out. And currently I have $7,345 from 2023 that will be unused. And in 2023, we had more grant requests than we had funding to award. So there was 3 applicants who their applications were scored, but they were not selected for an award. Rather, we had told them that they would be considered alternates. And if there was money left over from projects that we would consider funding one of them. Initially, I was going to propose that we move this to the second application period of 24. And then I recalled, hey, these 3 applicants sitting out there. I would like to propose that I reach out to the village of Chaseburg, who of the 3 scored the highest, on a project to make updates to their trail down at their main park there, where they hold several events. Community uses that quite often. I know that they are still raising funds for this $35,000 project. And so if it's okay with the committee, I'd like to reach out, see where they're at in terms of how much funding they need. They did request 10,000. We wouldn't have that right now. Kind of gauge, hey, can you meet the grant requirements in the timeline of a year of completing this project?
They didn't apply this for this year though.
They didn't. I don't know if it was just maybe discouragement from not getting it in 23 or capacity, but I just wanted to gather feedback.
Is that just for the trails or does that include like the ball diamond and the
That-
building and?
That would just be for the walking path that starts at the Ball Diamond and then goes out through that marsh. It needs to be, they're looking to make repairs to that.
And this would specifically be follow-up from 23. There's nothing that would stop them from applying for this second round in 24 if they needed more funding.
Correct. They could. I've also had a nonprofit who works with the village of Chaseburg who might be applying for 24 on behalf of the village or partnering with them for the second round of it for a different activity. But I may reach out to Linda at the village of Chaseburg and say, hey, we have funds for 2023. She may decide to apply for the additional funding in the second round of 24. And I haven't had a conversation with her on that yet.
I would think that if we would do that, that it would have to be the same project. Like if she decides to switch projects, I think it needs to be the same project.
Yeah.
It can't be a different project.
For the 23 funds.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree. So I will just recap because we're kind of toggling between 23 and 24. For the 2023 unused funds, I would like to reach out to the village of Chaseburg and consider them awarding them because they were an alternate.
You need a motion from the,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
I'd second that.
Devin and Nathaniel? Perfect. Anybody else want to discuss that some more? All right, all those in favor of talking to the village of Chaseburg about resubmitting their thing for the leftover funds from 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes.
My next one is the 2024, the second round of our community development grant, which I intend to open August 1st. One thing I didn't bring up and I thought of after last meeting is who's going to be eligible in terms of all of our units of local government throughout the county. Do I open it up to all municipalities or only those who haven't received an award? I've been thinking about that and I'm recommending and looking for your feedback that we open up the second round to all municipalities, but I changed the guidelines to note that we will be prioritizing those who have not received a 2024 grant award. Just to ensure that could use the funding that we have available. I think we'll have enough new people. We have around over 50,000 to award. I think we'll have enough newer municipalities. However, the majority of them don't apply for the max amount of $10,000. So we could still have funding. And if there's a municipality who already just received an award in April, but have a completely different project and the matching funds to back it, I'm guessing and looking to see if we would consider that as well.
We need to make a motion on that.
Sure.
I'll move that.
Right.
Second.
Okay. Does anybody else want to discuss it any further? All right, all those in favor of what she said?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm moving fast here. Housing study update. So in the email I sent out with all the committee materials, I included 4 links to housing studies. So you can see kind of a diverse group of a 270-page, right, housing study down to a 20-page housing study. I have connected with Hannah Ultimus, who can't be here today, but she did mention this at the last meeting that UW Extension has a community-led housing study program. So I met with her to pick her brain on. She shared me an example of the report that was produced through UW-Madison. I kind of compared it to some of the components I liked with the other reports. They can definitely work with us on that. This would be free of charge because we pay for a portion of Hannah's salary already. So this housing study would be at no additional cost. So that's one benefit, definitely, of moving forward with them. The other benefit is through this program, UW-Madison Extension, so Hannah and then another one of her colleagues would help the county form that county housing task force. And it would be that group of people that would be really involved in the study and developing that. And then once the study's developed, taking those recommended action steps that are determined by the data analysis and all the community interviews and so forth, and really working with the county to implement. Right. So we just don't have a study and do nothing with it. It's actually should be a nice chart of work that this housing task force could help spearhead. So that's another benefit. Also, UW-Madison Extension is working with us. Some of you knew or may not know this, but we want to brand the county, if you will. So develop really a new logo. It's more than visual assets, though. It's really the messaging assets. So how do we unify how everyone talks about Vernon County, in terms, especially county employees? How do we motivate businesses and so forth, and all of our municipalities to start speaking the same way about Vernon County and our unique attributes and why people should visit or live here or work here. And so we applied for a grant to implement a comprehensive community branding campaign. We'll get word on if we received that in August. UW-Madison Extension is going to develop these messaging assets at no cost. And then we did do a seal RFP, went through an RFP process for a marketing firm. Elevate Media was selected from that. So that would be what the grant would be for. It's around $30,000 for them to develop the visual assets. So the new logo, font, colors,
That'd be the commercial
social media, our video for our county. Yep, well, several videos that we could put on our website. So people potentially looking to move here, work here, visit here, could view these videos that other businesses and municipalities could then also share on their websites as well to help with recruitment efforts. So it makes sense, right, to align, because we have to do a community survey for that. And I am a believer in not over surveying people. So since they're working with us on that, we could do one community survey around kind of branding the county. Really, it's around perceptions of the county, and then tie the housing into that. And I want a lot of responses. So I will go on the news and the radio and everywhere I can to talk about how important it is for people to participate in this survey. why it's important and really motivate them to do that. So long story short, I would love to continue conversation with Hannah on moving forward with a housing study through UW Extension.
They just throw out the,
Yep, go ahead.
I sent you guys just at least the start of the housing section for the comp plan, because that is one of the required elements. So one of the things we've done for some of the other communities that are doing comp plans as well, but wanted to kickstart things because they wanted to try to apply for WIDA dollars, is to just kind of beef up the housing section as well. So I guess, you know, if they do that, at least they have some basis on information, and then, you know, we can also share the other stuff we need, because some of the data, when you look at that, I mean, I tagged in some of the Wisconsin Realtors Association information, but it's average for the county or median for the county. So there's more detail. So if we could use kind of the local MLS and local realtors to pull more recent sales data, that I think would be even more meaningful. And then what we're doing with some of the other communities, we're actually pulling the tax data to look at what the assessed values are, what the mill rates are, what the taxes are, to get even more live information. Obviously, if an area hadn't done a recent assessment, even that could be a little, you know, behind what current is. But again, it's a plan to show not only what you have, what the real values are, but then find those gaps and really try to come up with recommendations of what you have to do. And then the to do is also going to have to do with ordinances and really coming up with how do we use the tools we have available, whether that's perhaps TIF money. Between WIDA, WEDC has also expanded some of their programs to now include if businesses spend money on housing or childcare, they can get these state business tax incentives. So there's a lot of moving parts when you do this plan, however you do it. You just want to have it as broad as you can, so you have some good actionable items. So whatever we can help, but I do think you have some of that key stuff. So hopefully if you take a look at that, it might tell you a little bit.
Those are great points as far as local data. The Realtors Association Board Office in La Crosse has got out of that stuff we can access. And do we have a goal as far as taking all the data that we have now and breaking that down? And when we could have like an action plan, is that like in 2025?
That will be produced from the housing study specifically. So all this data we have kind of through many different sources to really put that into one document with those action steps. Like, hey, this is your current housing condition right now. In order to positively impact it, here's some action steps that you could do. And then that would be something that the housing task force, along with this committee, my leadership with that task force, could then work with municipalities to help move that forward.
Do you need a motion to do the housing study with UW?
I don't.
I mean, it doesn't cost us anything. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, I make that motion.
Second. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes.
I'm done now.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, Larkin, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so you should have the little one pager of kind of what I've been up to. This past month and change has really been spending a lot of time getting out into communities. So I've been going to chamber meetings. I was just in Hillsborough this week. Got a lovely welcome and got to see a lot of businesses there. Then the Westby Chamber, the Stoddard Business Association, and the Coon Valley Business Association. So trying to kind of just meet and make partnerships with a lot of those leaders. And then also have been doing a lot of business visits. So just kind of checking in with a lot of businesses, trying to get across the county and find out like what's going really well, what's really hard, and just start really pulling together those common threads so that we can have a better idea of how to help our businesses both maintain where they're at and help with growth and improvement. And then for promotion, I've been bringing the visitor guides with me everywhere. My husband's been making fun of me because I've just got like a van full of visitor guides, whether I'm in Vernon County or going up to Minnesota, wherever I am. I'm sprinkling those where I go. And it's been we have been hearing really, really great feedback just as far as both our businesses in Vernon County feeling really happy with having their communities represented, and then people from outside Vernon County seeing them and just seeing like the clear, really, I would say strong messaging, and the fact that it's not super cluttered with ads this year has had a really strong impact. So we're seeing like some numbers from our printing partners, and I do not remember, but I know that like I was shocked when I saw like the QR code scan numbers, just to see like where people are scanning from. So we've got Virginia. I think there were some from Arizona, like a much further scope than even our distribution. So it's really cool to see that they're being used. And then, yeah, coming up, really looking at plans for next year's visitor guide. So doing a lot of thinking about how this year can be expanded upon and what we're going to plan for that. And then have just really started cracking into planning our social media, a lot of our communication planning, getting a newsletter put together so we can have an economic development update that goes out. So I'll definitely be pestering you all to subscribe. And then also starting to look at the banquet this fall, the awards banquet, and just we've got a committee that we've been working with for that.
Where's it going to be this year? You know?
Do you say when or where?
Where?
Well, we've been talking to your partner. Yeah, so we've got our next meeting on the 16th to figure out where for sure, but there are not a whole lot of places in Vernon County that have a liquor, like that we can have drinks at, and then just have enough space to fit everybody. So it's looking like probably going to be somewhere in the center of the county this year, but we'll have more updates as we confirm. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, and what's coming down the pipeline for me. If anybody's got any questions, I'm always happy to answer them.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm curious, as you're having these conversations with business owners to find out what's going well and maybe what's not going quite so well, are you noticing any themes?
I mean, yes, I think a lot, like right now, a lot of the themes are the same themes that, like we've been discussing, as far as workforce being a really difficult one, just as far as, and that being kind of like a twofold one of being able to get workforce, be able to feel like they're paying competitive wages and being able to support with benefits or anything like that. And then also just making sure that like the workforce has the adequate training to meet the demand and like kind of the changing demand in the county. So I'm sure as I see and talk to more, I'll have a lot more information on that.
You had mentioned also just the need for support with like promotion and advertising.
Yeah.
And, like what are the trends? What is the best bang for your buck? And people not really knowing where to start with that.
Mhm.
So we were talking about, okay, how could you put something together that would top 5 ways to promote your business or advertise? And that could be something that would be included in the newsletter going out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think especially for like the really small businesses, that places that have a full-time marketing person have that a little bit more under control, but a lot of these smaller businesses just don't have a person who has that skill set or that capacity to be able to do.
And if I could just add how wonderful it has been having Larkin here in this role. I was very careful when I onboarded her not to give her the economic development strategy and say, figure it out, right? Obviously, I would never do that. But instead, I had identified like, here are priorities for year 1. And she has ran with every one of them. And it has been, I mean, in a brilliant way too. And her ideas and her vision for where she wants to take economic development in the county is very inspiring. So I'm excited to see what comes with that.
Thanks.
All right, anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, I think we're on to agenda items for next meeting.
You want to camp here today, but you have her.
Yep.
Up there.
Really not sure how we could discuss or take action on it, but it seems like ever since it was announced that the Genoa power plant was gonna be decommissioned and destroyed, there's been a lot of conversation about what the future of that site is. A lot of people hovering over it that have a lot of different ideas, everything from solar panels to stuff. But there's a lot of questions being raised about what could we do to eliminate a lot of truck traffic on the roads, going to Prairie du Chien, La Crosse, Boscobel to offload farm products. And I'm sure a lot of farmers, Vernon County's an ag community. You know, you think about how many million acres, you know, we have every year that go to market. If there was a way that we could convert that site, because it's got barge and rail access right there. And there's just a lot of discussion out there right now, a lot of questions is why can't we have a facility in Vernon County to do some of that stuff?
Does Dayland Power still own it though?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They're like an intermodal site.
Yeah.
Interesting, that's come up at two other meetings.
Yeah. And one of the things that people said, well, gee, you got to cross the railroad tracks. Well, you know, other communities I've seen where they had the same issue is they built a small bridge right over the railroad tracks and it eliminated that issue. I guess if a person, you know, if you wanted to explore that, you'd find a way to make something happen.
Well, I know from, you're talking like fertilizer and stuff coming in on rail.
Well,
I've talked to, you know, being in that business, rail is very unreliable as far as bringing fertilizer or ag products. So they're almost out of the picture. They're, you know, a lot of people built on rail years ago thinking that that was a good option, and it's turned out to be a nightmare. So everybody's went to rail.
Yep.
Barge, that's mostly international. I mean, corn and stuff like that, if you got the distribution for that, yeah. For the commodities, we wanted the commodity other than Prairie and La Crosse. So, and that's the problem you run into with commodities is you got Prairie and you got La Crosse. So you got 20 miles either way and it's possible. And Boscoville to the other way, yeah.
Up in Trumpelow, what are they talking about up there at the same? Up by Trumpelow?
Well, Trempealeau actually has an intermodal site with them. And they're actually looking at some other things further up with rail or something they're thinking of. And then further up the river in Pierce County, there's an old sand mining site that's right next to the river that they're thinking of doing some kind of intermodal one. It's got quite a number of rail sidings and pretty good access right up at 63, I think that goes over to Red Wing, or 62. And then you shoot up 35 to get to there. 55. But actually, also the last December 22, we got a national designation. It's the Northern Greenbelt Ports. So we're now a port statistical area. So previously, all the freight that moved down the river didn't get counted from the cities all the way down to Illinois. So now we've created this, and we're, depending which source you look at, we're either somewhere 62nd largest port in the nation to 70th. And we actually have a working group right now up in La Crosse trying to look at our options, because to go to the next level, we have to create some kind of an entity that we then could apply for more of the grants and things for these projects along. So we are working on it, but it was interesting. One of those meetings, the Genoa site came up.
Well, I guess we can continue to deny we have an issue when there's interest in it, because, I mean, we're just burning up our roads with semis in the fall. And I'm sure, I can't think of one farmer that would rather drop something off in Genoa than drive to Prairie or La Crosse or Boscoville.
We did have Jenny Radcliffe with Daryl Power here earlier this year, probably before the new board supervisor started, who presented kind of an update, but it really wasn't that much of an update, I don't feel, but it gave an opportunity for the.
He was talking more about mini nuclear
Yeah.
sites, like,
That is what they are kind of looking at. There's a company out of Madison that supposedly has some technology. I just asked again recently, but I'll ask her about that, just to see if there's any, at least willingness to even look at something.
Cause it would, if they were looking at a mini nuclear thing, I mean, by the time that gets through the NRC and every place else, I mean, you're looking at a lot of years down the line.
And they did do apparently a survey for wind and solar and it wasn't suitable. But they are wanting to keep it because it's a major substation and lines that go through there.
Yeah, and like you said, it's great dock system, so you hate to lose large access, but it's just hard to locate that close to all the others already established.
maybe you could put a call into her and see if she could come to a future meeting or something.
Absolutely.
When's Darylyn thinking about selling that property or whatever?
I don't think they're thinking of selling it. They want, last I heard, they want to keep it.
They want to keep it and then they
Because
just
of
want
all those lines and that
At least a
substation.
portion of it. They have some set aside for development that they might sell, but they are gonna keep some of it because of they have a switching station or something like that there.
so.
Find out more.
Anything else for next month's meeting that won't be nearly this long?
If you do have any check requests, those should come to your.
Yes. I was gonna say whole chunk requests and then partner contributions. So Larkin and I will be working on the first draft of the 2025 budget in the month of July. So on the first, if we could come with our feedback or recommendations for the partner contributions for all the presentations we heard, and the committee can discuss and make some decisions there on how much we want to give.
We only have 15,000 available, right?
Unless we want to
Unless we want-
request more. And then,
I don't know.
well, hey, I need the support
She's
to
gonna-
then go to finance.
She's gonna make you do an inner battle of myself.
I know, that's the beauty of having you on, John. And then Allison had forwarded me an email from Cindy Hubbard, who would like to make a request for Vernon County to financially make a contribution to support the Welcome Center. So the repurposing of the bathhouse, that's currently the bathhouse. They're repurposing that into a Welcome Center. Allison forwarded the email on to me and said, I think this belongs in Economic Development Committee. I don't know if that's something we would typically do.
I thought they're doing really good on their funding.
They were, but I think from what that email, no, I think they're probably 100,000 away, yeah. So.
I think that's something if you consider after we have a better idea about the budget. I don't think economic development should be doling out money. I think the finance department has to do it. And if the funds are available and we get to spend them, then that's a different story, but.
You're right, like the economic development department budget, like community development department budget does not have funds to support something like this. I think it would have to come from the county
If we
board.
have anything left over after the $2 million you're supposed to be funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was it. Anyway.
How would you like me to respond? Or maybe I can connect with you guys.
No, I think, or whatever. I think it's just one of these things that we're in the middle of the budget. We have no idea.
If they have a formal request, they can submit something or as the finance committee, similar to how, we do an annual contribution to, like the historical society, that are considered under like those general requests that do come straight to finance. So I would say that's probably the most important route.
Okay.
Do you run what request to you, Larkin? Or
Will
who do you
be,
direct to?
so whole chunk requests will come from community development department. So anything with economic development or the grants and so forth has to come through committee before it will be considered for a whole chunk fund. For whole chunk funds. So we have some unique programs that we would like to launch and continue. So we will be bringing requests forward.
pretty much guarantee you we're gonna have more.
But ours will be the most compelling.
Right, does anybody else have anything else they'd like to talk about at the next meeting? Katie, do you have anything for us? You just want to be done with this meeting, don't you?
Yep, I'm ready to be done.
All right, anybody, wanna end this little stuff?
Move.
Nathaniel? All right, all right, meeting's adjourned, thank you.
Thanks,
You
everyone.
guys.
All right. I gotta go
We're
figure
now
out
by 3:30.
the shirt section.
All right, thank you. Well, Cassie, I hope your ankle feels better by the end of the week. So you're not going up and down those hillsides all fast.
Got the doctor's appointment tomorrow.
Fingers out
I don't know what they're gonna do for me, but.
There's just a lot of talk out there about that.
Like, I-
Well, see,
My glacier trip